We all know that Rice Gum and Jake Paul wrote the best diss tracks, but an entire genre called punk rock is built on a foundation of dissing. You're either dissing the police, dissing the man, dissing the establishment, dissing the authority. And today is about those diss tracks, but not really anything substantive, okay? We're looking at the petty diss tracks. The disses where artists are going after one another in their songs. And we're gonna read the lyrics to determine which is the most savage, which is the most brutal, which cuts the deepest. We got NoFX, Black Flag, MDC, all the damned and more coming up on this very episode. So thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Dan Frampton, and without any further ado, let's dive into the first diss track. It's going to be kind of a continuation of my last video here, so we're going to stick with NoFX and Fat Mike with this track called Kill Rock Stars, which came off of So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes, which might be one of my favorite NoFX records. In this track, Fat Mike sets his targets on Kathleen Hanna of Bikini Kill. There was some behind the scenes drama where Kathleen was calling Fat Mike a misogynist. So he went out and wrote this song. So how hard did Mike go on Kathleen here? Let's find out. It starts off with Kill the Rock Stars in quotes because that's Bikini Kill's record label. So, kill the rock stars. How ironic, Kathleen. You've been crowned the newest queen. Kind of like a punk rock Gloria Steinem. You can't change the world by hating men. You can't change the world by blaming men. Alternative Republican. So basically Kathleen's saying that he hates women and he's saying that Kathleen hates men. Very petty, and they're arguing the same point without really getting anywhere so far. Let's continue. Just cause I don't know the reason you're so pissed, don't dare tag me a misogynist. I thought the goal here was mutual respect, not constructing a separate sect. Okay, he's kind of just laying it out here in these 4 bars here, saying like, I don't know why you're so mad at me, but don't call me a misogynist, okay? And at this point, this was all behind the scenes, so Fat Mike is bringing this to the public with this track here. I wish I could have seen Courtney demonstrate some real misogyny. Now this line, as Genius will tell us, refers to a fight between Kathleen and Courtney Love, where Courtney actually punched Kathleen, and I'm gonna get into that in a future video. That's a beautiful beef. All right, so we're off to a very petty start, and did Kathleen respond? Yep, it took 2 years, but La Tigre put out this record, and on it, the song Decepticon, which to be honest, she doesn't really dedicate all the lyrics to going in on Mike. Just this one little part here. And she says, because I'm so bored that I'd be entertained even by a stupid floor, a linoleum floor? Linoleum floor. Your lyrics are dumb like a linoleum floor. I'll walk on it. I'll walk all over you. Walk on it, walk on it, walk in one too. I kind of like that line. That's very clever because NoFX have that song Linoleum, and Kathleen is basically saying, you're out here writing songs about linoleum, about a floor? I'm saying real stuff over here, okay? What are you doing, Fat Mike? You're a big stupid idiot, is basically what she's saying here. She doesn't really seem to be continuing on that like gender-fueled hatred or whatever, and basically kind of just squashes it by saying like, you're too stupid to continue this, leave me alone. And to my knowledge, that's kind of where this beef ended, but the Courtney Love stuff I think is still lingering on to this day. Okay, now we're going on to my favorite track on this list. You bet we got something personal against you coming to us from Black Flag. Now, this diss is beautiful. There once was a singer named Keith Morris, and then Keith went on to start this band called Circle Jerks. But what he did when he started Circle Jerks was record a song that Black Flag had written first. So Black Flag was like, hey dude, you're like stealing from us. What are you doing? We wrote this as Black Flag, and now you're recording it over here as Circle Jerks. You're damn right we got something personal against you. Very straightforward, right to the point, no dancing around it, no metaphors. We got something personal against you, Keith Morris. The songs that Keith was accused of stealing were Wasted and Don't Care. You don't have anything against me, do you? You bet I got something personal against you. We know you stole our song. You regret ever touching them. You regret fucking with our band. You regret everything you've done. Now you bet I got something personal against you. It's just coming out and just saying it. I love it. You deny all the sleaze and graffiti. You regret stealing from our past. It's mindless and your fuss won't last. We know what you've done behind our backs. Damn right we got something personal against you. You deny you can't see around the corner. You've got nothing of your own. Now really just going in. You're not even creative enough to come up with your own stuff, Keith Morris, that you're ripping off what we've done first. Fuck you, buddy. You got nowhere to go but down. Yeah, that's a great diss track. That's beautifully petty. I love how much drama this thing is just steeped in. So juvenile, absolutely glorious. I don't think Keith Morris responded. All right, next track. MDC is going after John Wayne. Yeah, John Wayne was this really famous actor. He was in all these Western movies that all of America just beloved. John Wayne is an icon, a film legend, and when he died, the world was mourning a huge loss. But not MDC. MDC were out here, what are you guys doing? Praising this guy. This guy was a dang Nazi. And they wrote a whole song about how John Wayne was a Nazi. Very controversial. Love to see it. Let's see how hard they go. Starts off by saying simply, John Wayne was a Nazi. He liked to play SS. He had a picture of Adolf the boy tucked in his cowboy vest. And right away they're saying John Wayne kept Adolf Hitler close to his heart. A very Nick Fuentes way to live your life. Well, he would string up your mama. I'm sure he would torture your pop. I'm sure he would march up to the wall. I'm sure he would hang you by your left ball. Yeah, he definitely would. That's very graphic and painful sounding. He was a Nazi. He's not anymore. He was a Nazi. Life evened the score. He was a Nazi. Not anymore. He was a Nazi. John Wayne slaughtered our Indian brothers, burned their villages and R-worded their mothers. Now he has given them the white man's lord. Live by this or death by the sword. Okay, yeah, they're really painting a vicious picture there. That's true. But I don't know if John Wayne was actually the guy that did those things. That was the character in movies. I don't know. But either way, that's very Nazi-ish. John Wayne slayed a lot of gooks in the war. We don't give a fuck about John anymore. We know his tale of blood and gore. Just another pawn for this capitalist whore. God damn, they're going in. John Wayne wore an army uniform. Didn't like reds and F slurs that didn't conform. Great white hero, had so much nerve, lived much longer than he deserved. Oh man, this guy should have died earlier. MDC is going so goddamn hard on John Wayne. Late show Indian or Mexican dies. Klan propaganda legitimized. Hypocrite coward, never fought a real fight. When I see John, I'm ashamed to be white. Deathbed Christian, of this you avowed. If God's alive, you're roasting now. Well, John, we ain't got no regrets. As long as you died a long and painful death. Oh, you were a Nazi. Not anymore. John Wayne was a Nazi. Yeah, okay, this might be the hardest anyone's gone so far on anybody. I'm not sure if he was out there being like, I'm a real Nazi, because if he was, this John Wayne character, he wouldn't be celebrated to this day, and he's still celebrated to this day. So I'm not so sure if MDC is going after John Wayne the guy, or John Wayne the characters that he played in the movies. Because in the movies, he definitely did all these things. But maybe because in the movies he did all those things, that means the actor endorses all of those things, making him a Nazi. Either way, it's just a great troll to go after somebody so beloved like the moment he dies in a punk song. I just love how petty and controversial that is. Next song. All comes to us with a song called Self-Righteous. If you're not familiar with All, they're basically Descendants without Milo. Anyway, this song is all about going after straight edge as an entire culture. It's not really a diss track to another person, but to an entire kind of mindset. And I really don't think that All can go nearly as hard as MDC did there against John Wayne, but let's see. Self-righteous crusader, don't care what you do. You talk the straight edge, but you walk a crooked mile. Don't misjudge me, cause I ain't on trial. Okay, this first line is basically, you're a bunch of hypocrites, leave me alone. It's not really so insulting so far. Just because I suck, don't mean you're off the hook. Just because you're drunk, don't think that you're not fucked up. That's true, man. A lot of people in the scene, a lot of people that are drawn to the straight edge world have seen a lot of shit go down that are making them go, no drugs, okay, I gotta stay away from drugs, gotta stay away from alcohol. They might be some of the most traumatized people. That leads to them, you know, a lot of the time being fucked up and projecting that onto a whole bunch of other people. But that's not always the case, because if you're familiar with this channel, you know that I'm a very big fan of straight edge music. I'm a huge fan of the positive messages in a lot of the music. Self-righteous crusader, fuck me and same to you. I think this is kind of a safe route to go, you know? They're like, hey, you're really bad at doing this thing, but I'm also really bad, so, you know, that gives me the right to say that you're bad. I think that all should have just went all in on this. There shouldn't be the line, just because I suck doesn't mean you're off the hook. Why even say that you suck? Just say, just because you're drunk don't mean you're not fucked up. But I do like this line. Don't confuse sobriety with morality. There's a lot of sober murderers, just look at history. But I'm still an okay guy, even if I want to get high sometimes, high sometimes, high sometimes. So I don't think this is the most sharp, the most cutting, the most brutal diss track that you can do. And I don't think that the entire straight edge culture is gonna be like, hey, oh, you gotta stop with this. No, don't think it had that effect whatsoever. But over here, Idiot Box by The Damned might be the biggest example of a diss track. And the story behind this, okay, so The Damned, they're in England. Okay, they're like one of the first punk bands, they're doing their thing, and they get invited to the west coast of America, to California, to come play a show with Television. Television was a punk rock band back in the day that had kind of like a bit of buzz going on the west coast. So The Damned came over to play, but they made the huge journey, that huge trek, just for Television to be like, ah, just kidding, you guys can't play. So they got stuck out there on the West Coast, and now they're not gonna get the money from the show that they were gonna do, so whatever, they got kind of pissed off. So what they did is they made fun of Television in every way possible. They mocked their guitar playing, they mocked the way that they put records together, they mocked their sound, they mocked them sonically, they mocked how they wrote lyrics, and the lyrics were also about how shitty they were. So that's a very deep commitment to a diss. But let's just see how hard they go in the lyrics. I can turn you off. Well, I just tried and left you off. Tom Verlaine, you may be art, but you sure ain't a rock and roll. Tom Verlaine is a member of Television, if you're not catching on to that. People standing in the rain just to see that screen Verlaine. Supersonic, I'll come back soon, cause all we got is a marquee moon. So they're calling out Television's members, they're calling out their records. Billy Fickett, don't waste my time, just turning on to what's my line. Old Fred Smith works for the box. Oh, what a haggard face. Hope he gets a lot of shocks from his Fender bass. That is an amazing line. So I think that The Damned really stuck it to Television on this one. For sure, big W for The Damned here. Oh, now here's another beautiful drama. You gotta love the Vandals. The Vandals are kind of famous for writing kind of funny, kind of poppy punk rock songs. And this situation saw Agent Orange trying to sue the Offspring for like stealing melodies or whatever. So what they're doing in this song is basically calling out Agent Orange for being super cringe. Okay, the first line, I'm Pom Pom Head and I wrote one good song, but that was almost 20 years ago. I tried to follow it up, but you know how those sophomore jinxes go. That's hard. That's hard as fuck. That's calling out a band, like, to their core. So I became quite bitter as sales dropped like flies. No one likes these dumb songs or car racing and spies. Maybe it's the ape drape or hippies in my band, but now we only tour in Arizona and Japan. That line is amazing. That's so good. It's like, no one here cares about us anymore. We've totally failed. We had one good song 20 years ago, so we need to tour off that one song where people still like us in Arizona and Japan. All right, the Vandals keep going in. So after so much thought and a panel of experts, I came up with a brilliant little plan. I'll take out all my frustrations on one of these ungrateful new punk rock bands. Holy shit, they are just making Agent Orange seem like the most out of touch, ungrateful, irrelevant group of pieces of shit to ever walk this earth. And then in the next line here, making them seem like the most pompous and pretentious pieces of shit to ever walk this earth. Cause I invented socks and I invented gravy. I made up the cotton gin and no one ever paid me. Why beat a dead horse with a career that is cursed? I'll just sue for royalties on things I thought of first. It rhymes, it's beautiful, it's poetic. I think this is the best diss track we've seen so far, because that John Wayne one, John Wayne wasn't alive to feel the sting, only his fans. But this is just going straight after Agent Orange, calling them Aging Orange, which I don't think I mentioned yet, which is a great diss right off the back. Because you know what's more cringe than just being cringe? Getting old. So I've bitten off a sizable chunk of the hands of people with the food. Now I'm confined to the pages of Flipside and a graveyard of punk rock's 35-year-old dudes. It's so funny to think, man. In 1996, calling someone 35 in punk rock was like, oh, Jesus Christ, you're calling me a dinosaur. And now everybody playing punk rock is like 60 years old and still doing it. Amazing diss track. Vandal's very, very sharp with the pen on this one. This next drama comes to us from Angry Samoans. There was this DJ back in LA a long time ago named Rodney Bingenheimer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably not. Anyway, he used to play a bunch of punk rock tunes, and he wouldn't be playing the Angry Samoans tunes, so Angry Samoans got a little bit pissed off and wrote this song. And after this song came out, they got super blackballed from like the Whiskey and other venues in LA. And spoiler alert, they kind of go a little bit hard on this DJ guy. But let's just see how hard they fucking go. He can't read, baby. He can't talk. He's LA's favorite punk rock jock. Glitter bands and Bowie's cock are his idea of new wave rock. You're a fucking piece of shit now, Rodney. I don't think you're so hot. You make me laugh with those clothes you wear and those stupid teeth you got. Going after a radio DJ for his teeth is kind of funny. Because you know that old expression, he's got a face for radio? Kind of plays into that whole meme. You pathetic male groupie, you don't impress me. Get off the air, you fucking square. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, that's the name of the track. Get off the air. You pathetic male groupie, you don't impress me. Get off the air, you fucking square. You're just a jerk as far as I can see. That's an amazing. You're just a jerk as far as I can see. I didn't see you do any nice guy things. No sweetheart behavior coming from you, Rodney. You're a square and a jerk. 8 p.m., Rodney's on the air. He's beating off to Joan Jett's hair. Christmas Eve, what do you got? 4 hours of Phil Spector raw. Not only are they calling out this Rodney guy, they're calling out all these other artists and all the fans of all these people. I absolutely love all the rocks these guys are throwing. Angry Samoans, very dramatic. I love it. This next track is coming to us from Rudimentary Penny with this song called Rotten to the Core. Now you know they're going after Johnny Rotten with this one. It starts off by saying, have you realized that rock stars always seem to lie so much? John Lydon once said he cared, but he really doesn't give a fuck. Said he used the money he made so that people would have somewhere to go. But now he lives in the USA and snorts coke after the show. And that's a brilliant thing that all punks can always diss each other about, because they all start off poor, but then some of them get rich. So then you can be like, you're a rich punk rock guy and that stands against everything that we stood for, you idiot. Very petty, and I'm here for it. Then he basically just says the same thing about Joe Strummer. And that's going to lead us on to our next drama, which is a series of 3 diss tracks. And that is the time that Propagandhi dropped a diss track on NoFX. So if you're not familiar, Propagandhi is like the super political version of NoFX, essentially. Way back in the day, they were both fat sounding bands, you know, they were doing that whole fat record sound. And Propagandhi were uber serious about all their political messaging, okay? And NoFX had that same kind of sound, but they were a little bit more lighthearted about the matter. And then after a while, Propagandhi started to separate themselves from that whole fat scene. And Chris Hanna from the band went on to say, I was depressed and pathetic back in 2004. The band NoFX even wrote a terrible song about how depressed and pathetic I was. And this link about that song isn't there, so I don't know what song he's referencing. I need to know. If you know this song, please sound off down there below. And then this fucking clown comes out of nowhere 4 years later, acting like a pathetic, depressed clown. Coincidence? Well, this town is only big enough for one pathetic, depressed clown, and that's me. So I'm issuing a public challenge to Koki, which is the clown that Fat Mike plays. Let's meet in the octagon. 3 1-minute rounds. This is just a joke. This is just a clout chase. No holds barred. The loser apologizes publicly for stealing the other guy's gimmick and pays the winner a whole shitload of money. But it is very funny. Okay, so that's setting the tone for this drama. That it's just a couple lighthearted barbs going back and forth between bands that used to ride hard together. But then in 2005, Propagandhi released Punk Rock for Sustainable Capitalism. And this thing is 4 minutes non-stop going after Fat Mike. There's no instrumental breaks, there's no choruses, there's no like melody. This is just him telling us how bad of a person Fat Mike is and how bad his whole scene is and how much of a hypocrite he is. All the while just sounding as brilliantly preachy as Propagandhi have always sounded. Alright, so let's see what kind of disses and accusations he throws Fat Mike's way. I fucking love that one rock video where that fucking fat-ass Mohawk millionaire prances around by far the worst sausage party on earth. Oh my god, okay, yeah, that one video. See what I was saying earlier where a punk rocker can get rich and then you can just make fun of him for being rich? That's what's going on here. By mere chance, he's caught on film shaking hands with incredibly diverse collection of patriotic skins. I like the message that sends. Fucking goof. With a rebel yell, trademark, just do exactly what you're told. 1 million douchebags can't be wrong. I'm one of those douchebags, okay? I like NoFX. And then in quotes, when did punk rock become so safe? Because that's a line that Fat Mike has used in one of his songs before. You'll excuse me while I laugh in your face as I itemize your receipts and PowerPoint your balance sheets. That's basically being like, you're not punk and I got the receipts. This is as YouTube drama as it could possibly get, and it's 2005. There's a lot of notes that people on the internet can take from these guys. Just like low blows that don't mean anything, and you're only using these talking points because they're the opposite of your talking points. Absolutely genius. I hear this year Van's Warped Tour is going green. I guess they heard money grows on trees. Hope they ship all those shitty bands overseas like you did with those factories. Man, he's just calling them a capitalistic pig. Music's power to describe, compel, renew. It's all a distant second to the offers you can't refuse. Anyone remember when we used to believe that music was a sacred place, not some fucking bank machine? Just hammering on the same points. You're a capitalist, you got rich, blah, 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 blah. Not something you bought and sold. How could you have been so naive? I think when all is said and done, it's just because we were young. It don't mean that we were wrong. Are you kind of taking back your arguments there with that one? I'm not sure. And I'll rock back and forth on this 2-bit hobby horse. Until she splinters and gives away, I'll tend the flowers by the grave and whisper her name. Whatever the fuck that means. Well, that's rock for sustainable capitalism, and you know, we may face a scorched and lifeless earth, but they're accountable to their shareholders first. And that's just how the world works. All right, so Propagandhi, you're just being like, hey, Fat Mike, you made some money, and you're also on a tour that's making money, and we don't like that you're making money because we're a punk rock band that doesn't believe in making money. So I guess that's the argument here. And either way, this song isn't that good, it's not that catchy, and it isn't that strong of an argument if you're asking me. It really is just super preachy, and it's basically like, hey, you're not the version of punk rock that we believe punk rock is, and we don't like that, and here's our fucking 4-minute song about that. But NoFX responded the very next year when they put out this record, Wolves in Wolves Clothing, with this first song, The Marxist Brothers. This is a response to that, so it's gonna be a lot of, hey, I'm rich and that's okay. It's okay to be a rich punk rocker. I'm still a punk, I'm rich, and those things can exist together. You can hold both those things in your brain, rich and punk. And that's basically all this song is, but let's get into it. We meet in underground parking lots and late night in coffee shops. With low voices unless we're drunk, we got hats and cop sunglasses. All right, really painting a picture there for us, Fat Mike. I like it. We question what is wrong. We discuss conspiracy. Are we enemies of the state or idealist bourgeoisie? Okay, so he's really setting up this scene for us. We got Chris Hanna, we got Fat Mike. They're going to coffee shops, underground parking lots. You know, they're talking about communism. I'll get this one. I'll put it on my card. I get frequent flyer miles. Okay, now we're getting into it. We're getting to the responses to this stuff now. I got a booklet of upgrades. So next time I visit the third world, I won't have to fly second class. The People's Revolution is going to be a podcast. I don't know if he knew 16 years ago that he would actually have a podcast. We took a bus to the anarchist book fair. I left my hybrid at home. I scored an extremely rare signed copy of the Communist Manifesto. And in this line, he's showing that being rich and being punk can exist together. I got a lot of money, but I'm spending it on this really rare punk rock thing to be spending it on. We protest the G8, got maced by female police in hot black uniforms and boots. I got one's email address. I don't even want to break down that line. Still, I'm waiting to see if my bid on eBay was enough to get today's empires are tomorrow's ashes on Soviet red vinyl. He's a collector and he's spending his well-earned punk rock money on punk rock things. I'm gonna put it on my wall next to Tub Thumper, which is a total troll, and the Battle of Los Angeles, another total troll. Of Los Angeles. Tub Thumper, that one-hit wonder, you know. Here, take some whiskey drink. Battle of Los Angeles, Rage Against the Machine. We're kind of like a hardcore band, kind of like a socialist, kind of communist kind of thing, and totally sold out to the mainstream. All of that is being economized in this one brilliant diss song. But Fat Mike wasn't done there. He had one more response to Chris Hanna. And actually, Melvin jumps on the track on this one. This one is called One-Celled Creature. Life on a mattress in a robe in a room full of emptiness is how it starts. And here is the life on a mattress in a robe in that room full of emptiness. And then Fat Mike chimes back in. Knowledge has much better uses than self-pity and superiority. Basically saying that Chris Hanna uses his knowledge to make himself feel better than everyone else around him. And then Melvin comes back in. Maybe you could be the next Hoffman, Mahatma, or Chomsky, but no one will ever know. The sum of your parts aren't gonna change any hearts. Not with that hate in your eyes. Yeah, right here he's saying you could be the next great philosopher, you could be the next great thinker, but you're operating with hatred behind your eyes. And then Fat Mike closes it all off by saying, in order to lead by example, you have to show a path to a better world, not a cell. So I think very petty, but because of how it was all set up with this cokey stuff, I think it is all lighthearted, but great fodder for content. And it just happened to happen about 10 years too soon. Because if this drama happened in 2016, when YouTube drama was kicking off, these guys would have made a whole bunch more money off the ad revenue alone. And that is just the tip of the iceberg on punk rock diss tracks. I cannot wait to go deeper on that Courtney Love Bikini Kill drama. So if you want to hear more about that, you're going to want to subscribe with the notifications on so you get notified when I drop that video. So before you bounce on out of here, like, subscribe, ring the bell if you're cool as hell, and until my next upload, watch another upload.